Alyson Annette Eshelman.
Hi, I am Alyson Annette Eshelman. Annette Eshelman is what most people call me. I currently live in Springfield, Ohio. However, I grew up in the foothills of Appalachia in South Point, Ohio, and my ancestors have owned the land there, my family, since 1826. So I'm pretty well entrenched in the Appalachian culture. And I earned my master's from Bowling Green State University with my concentration in fibers about 20 years ago. And at that time, well, before that, I began exploring fibers as an art medium in the early 90s, making art quilts. Most of my work now, though, explores three aspects of my life and how those aspects are interconnected and really interdependent. The aspects that I explore are my spiritual life, my family, and the love of the land that I grew up on. The piece that's on the screen on the edge of her seat is the piece that is in the exhibit. And that's just a really lighthearted piece celebrating my experience with dance when I was a kid, when I was in high school. Well, and prior, I mean, many years. I finished when I was in high school, but and just the thought of waiting to be called out on stage, you know, was both nerve-wracking and just a huge adrenaline rush. So just a really lighthearted self-sculpture piece, and she's permanently affixed to that little wooden chair that's been collaged. And then Holly, if you would go to the next slide, this piece is where my exploration really began. I started exploring my spiritual life, my family, you know, my connection to the land during grad school. And I was looking at how I kind of fit into the church that I was a part of. And so each self-sculpture, each piece is a self-sculpture body that's upholstered to wooden rockers. They're hand-dyed fabrics. And the rockers kind of act as a metaphor for my daily spiritual experience, like the back and forth of feeling connected, feeling disconnected. I use, in these pieces, I use the 4 colors of the church calendar to express the church, basically. And then there are specific texts that's silk screened on each piece. And then I also use the gears as like a metaphor for how I fit into the church and symbolizing my like interdependence there. I realize that, you know, my work is seen by lots of different people, and each person has their own interpretation of my work, and I think that's really wonderful. I am the curator of education at the Springfield Museum of Art here in Springfield, Ohio, and I teach our visitors that they should look at the work, or can look at the work that we have on exhibit there in their own way and make their own interpretations, and then that work becomes part of their own experience. And so I hope that's what happens when people view my work. I don't like have a set way that I want people to see my work. I just have something that I need to get out, I guess, of my own self. So that's what that previous piece meant to me. And then as I began to explore my place within the church, I began to consider my place within my family and how I'm interdependent on all those members of my family. So this little piece is a self-portrait at the age of 3. I'm sitting on my grandparents' back stoop. It's a thread painting where I've used the sewing machine as a drawing tool. And this image is taken from a slide that my grandfather took and I've used many of his slides as subject matter to look at my family and my heritage and our connection and what that connection means to me. And exploring all those slides, have just been, I don't know, overwhelmed with the connection I have with each person. And then as I explored that, I also realized that I have a deep connection to Appalachia. And I live in the flatland now, but as I go home to visit, those foothills start rising on the horizon, you know, about Chillicothe. And I can feel the embrace of the land as I see it. So, and you can tell I miss my home place. And so this last slide is entitled Mapping Her Way, which is a collaged dress form. And I created this soon after we moved here to Springfield, as I began to like face my grief of never living on that land again. And it's a piece from a body of work I've entitled Women of Transformation. And so, I don't know, I'm just learning to map my way in a different way with my own family and my own children. And I have a different outlook spiritually in that. So, and I'm just honored to be a part of this Women of Appalachia project. I am just humbled, and I just thank you for the opportunity. That's all.
Well, thank you, Annette. Felicity.